Welcome to Goal Force Side Effects. I'm your host, Kevin Simon. You all know my coach, John. What's up?
Hey, doing well.
And my co-host, Wade. What's up?
How's it going?
All right. And tonight, we finally got an Air Force guy on here. Bob, this Bob Roth. How you doing, man?
I am great. Thank you for having me.
And we don't get too many Marines or Air Force people on here. It's mainly Army and then some Navy, but mainly Army, I guess, because there was more of them there than, I don't know. Hell, I don't know. So I want to get this started first off by telling everybody, hey, I appreciate y'all for going on to Patreon. People are signing on to it. They're watching after show. And that really, truly is one of the fun things I believe about this podcast is the after show. Because we can say anything we want and nobody else hears it unless they want to go in and look at it. And then also our YouTube numbers are going up. Y'all go over there, click. We're trying to boost them numbers up. And soon I want to try to add other platforms onto here so we can be live on all different kind of platforms, because I believe we do need to talk about Desert Storm a whole lot more, not just for us, but our children, our grandchildren, because our war is never talked about. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight, is on the Air Force side of it. And Bob, go ahead and start us with telling us, about when you went in and what you did over during the Desert Storm.
Okay. I joined the Air Force in 1987, right out of high school from Long Island, New York. Went to basic down at Lackland like everybody else did. Made it to Grand Forks, wonderful Grand Forks, North Dakota, as a services specialist. Came in as a firefighter, but they made me a services specialist. So they had more wisdom than I did. Went over to Desert Storm. It actually took us almost a week and a half to get there. We flew on a civilian plane. Yeah. You think the Air Force would fly their people there fast? No. They are honestly.
You flew on a
They honestly were more worried. They were more worried about getting the Army and the Marines over there than they were us.
You flew on a civilian plane?
Yes. They put us on a civilian plane from Grand Forks to Philadelphia.
Same. I mean, I flew civilian. I don't know why Kevin's shocked by that. I flew civilian over there. I didn't fly military.
Well, probably because I went by boat.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, ship. Sorry.
Oh, you just made some enemies in your Navy.
Oh, boy, you're darn right, man.
They could be talking Swiftwater or something.
So when you were over there, and let's talk about your job, about what you were specialized in doing over there.
Well, my specialty was food service, hotel and restaurant services, and also mortuary. My main job while I was in Dubai, UAE, was to lodge the people and make sure, get with the first sergeant's commanders and ensure that everybody was in the tent they were supposed to be in, and they were assigned where they were supposed to be assigned and stayed there. My secondary duty, I was the NCOIC of the mortuary. And thankfully, we really didn't have a lot to deal with. I was eventually sent up to an Army unit, and I don't even remember half the guys' names. We didn't take pictures or anything like that. We didn't have phones and cameras on us all the time. So we went up. I was with a Graves and Registrations unit, and there was 4 of us in a Humvee and a freezer truck. And we basically waited. We were in, where's that, King Fahd, and that we waited, and then they shipped us up. We had to drive up to King Fahd when the Marines were getting overrun, and they thought we were going to pick up Marines, but we didn't pick up any Marines. We picked up a lot of Iraqis.
Wow.
So that's interesting.
Oh, so
you said you were in Dubai?
UAE, yes.
Huh. Okay.
And then I had a former commander that knew I was in country and requested that I come up to King Fahd in Saudi Arabia because he was having the same issue that our commander was having, the base commander, with people pretty much going to whatever tent they wanted to because they wanted to hang out with their buddies and stay there instead of staying in their own tents. It's an Air Force thing, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if the Army or Marines had problems like that. They probably didn't care. They just cared that you showed up.
Man, I tell you what though. I guess when y'all got the call to go up to where the Marines were, I bet y'all are probably thinking, "Oh man, this is gonna suck." But then when you got there, you're like, "Oh man, this is pretty cool." Because
it's actually quite a funny story because I was a buck sergeant, an E4 buck sergeant. That was what the Air Force had. And I remember the one guy, he was a staff sergeant. I know the Army ranks pretty well. He was a staff sergeant, and we had two specialists with us. I think that's what they were, specialists. And he said, "You're next in charge." I showed up in greens in my regular, salad dress and look and uniform. And he goes, "That ain't going to work, Sarge. We're going to hook you up." And he gave me the chocolate chips. I actually had Army rank on my collar of sergeant because they obviously didn't have an Air Force rank for that. We sew everything on our shoulders. So he's like, "You're going to be an Army sergeant for now." And he says, "You're coming with us." And I'm like, "Where are we going?" And the colonel had told them that I did a lot of the mortuary work, and he's like, "You're going with these guys. They're good. They're going up to the front." I'm like, "No, I'm not." Nope. I mean, I can honestly say I was scared pretty much to death because they gave me a 9mm when I came over, and I was the arms guy for the Air Force, and that's a kind of a joke because everything's locked up. You never can get your gun. The only one that got a gun was the guy protecting the guns. Because they were in a locked box.
Okay.
So, unless they were combat guys, that was the only ones that other. So they told me, they said, "Here's your M16. Here's a box of ammunition. Start loading up." And we're driving down. I'm in the back of the Humvee loading up magazines. I can't remember where we were. We were out there, and they said, "We're taking small arms fire." I'm like, "What?" He pulled the Humvee in a position. They got behind it. I'm still fiddling with my seatbelt. He's like, "Why are you wearing a seatbelt?" I said, "Because if I don't, the Air Force gets to me and I get in trouble."
Oh, that's funny. That's hilarious.
They were all sitting on their seatbelts. I'm the only one with a seatbelt. So I got behind the Humvee and everything kind of stopped. They said they heard small arms fire. I didn't hear anything. But we went another 5 or 6 clicks down, and the Iraqis came out with their hands up, white flags in their hands, waving them. And we were handing them MREs just to get them away from us, tell them to wait there. And we couldn't take anybody. They were surrendering left and right out there. But we never made it to Kofji. But when we got, I'm going to say it was on the outskirts of the town. You could see things burning. You can see the fires and everything. But we got close enough, and they were like, "Hey, we've got a bunch of Iraqi dead we'd like you to take." And we're like, "Okay." So they piled them up and probably about 20 of them or so.
Wow, man. See, and that's what's crazy is I hear a lot of stories. I saw pictures where the Iraqis had their hands up, they're walking out, they're surrendering to everybody. But you got to admit that is a good feeling. No firefight. Firefighting had to happen. We didn't lose that many troops
especially for an Air Force guy.
Well, and a Navy guy. Hey, man, I'll tell you right now, that's why I didn't join the Army or the Marines. I didn't want to get shot at.
I came close. I came close to being a Marine. My father's like, "Pick which one you want," because they were next to each other, the recruiters, and I hadn't made up my mind. And this gunny sergeant came out screaming at somebody. I said, "The Air Force is right there."
Well, I also know that when we were out there, that are like, okay, before I get to that part, you're talking about the recruiting stations. Now, be honest, John, I don't know about Iowa, but where I am in Texas, 4 of us are 4 of the recruiting stations were next to each other. They were all like here, and here.
Yes.
All piled on. The Coast Guard was nowhere to be found.
Oh, well, I mean, here again, I live in a rural part of the world, and so I'm not, I mean, lives in a much more populous area than I do. So, I mean, when you would find it, I don't know about today, but back then, I mean, usually the recruiter's office were pretty close to one another. But then again, as if you went to Des Moines, I suppose.
Here they actually have the recruiting center with
Yeah.
every single recruiter is in the same building to include Space Force.
Yeah.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
see, now you can't find them buildings. You got to call like a 1-800 number if you want to join in most cities now.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, this is right on a main drag, one of the most popular traveled roads. It's right there. Flags flying. They got their Humvees out there. I mean, you can't miss it.
It's still the same recruiting station that I went to on Long Island. It's still the same place. The Army and the Air Force were in one building, and across the way was the Navy and Marine Corps. And I think the Coast, being on Long Island, the Coast Guard was very, they were all over the place. We saw them all the time. So they had their own recruiting stations. As far as Space Force, I don't know nothing about that.
Yeah,
me neither.
The only thing about Space Force.
I don't know anything about Space Force. I wouldn't have been able to make it in there anyway because I knew what my ASVAB was.
That'd be so cool. How cool would
If
that be?
it was like some of the movies, I mean, that'd be fine.
Yeah, right. No, I don't. Long Island. You know, when I hear about Long Island, if you're not from that neck, I didn't realize how big Long Island was. It wasn't the last couple of weeks for some. I was watching something on TV. I'm typing, how big is Long Island? Holy crap! There's a lot of folks on that island.
There's so many people on that island. They've tried to break away from New York, and they can't for some reason. There's more people on that island than are in the whole rest of the state.
Really?
Except for New York City. Obviously, New York City is very populated, but the whole rest of the state, Long Island outdoes it.
It's like 8 million plus, right? I mean, it's a lot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
Man,
almost as much as the town you live in there, Kev. Almost.
No, there ain't that. I don't have that many people in my town.
I guess what I meant by that is
The surrounding area.
Yeah.
But be honest with you, if you kind of, look back and when we joined, like the Army was the biggest one because the Army was really the only one that went into schools in my area. And they no offense, they harassed the hell out of you. And they're at your door almost every other night. Bang, 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 bang. You need to join the Army.
We had in high school, I was in the Naval ROTC program. And when my commander in chief, they were like, "So you're joining the Navy?" I said, "No, I already signed up for the Air Force." They riddled me for weeks. They were just like, "Oh." But we had Navy recruiters, we had Marines, we had the Army, and we had the Air Force. The Army did call me quite often, but once I told them I'd gone to the Air Force, they were like, "Okay." They didn't bother me no more.
Did you get a kind of financial bonus by joining or no?
I actually did not get a bonus. I was on the delayed enlistment, and they somewhat got away from that. They did something to me when I went to, I can't remember the name of the fort. It's over there in Brooklyn. But that's where I did my testing and everything. And when I went in there, they made me swear in again, and that did away with my delayed enlistment.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they never asked me about my ROTC. I told my recruiter retired and a new recruiter took over. It didn't ask me about it again. And I was supposed to get 2 stripes out of basic. Didn't get that either.
Oh, you got screwed over there.
God, man, I went in. I was an E1. What were y'all?
E1.
I went in as E2.
How are you, Wade?
E2.
E2? Man, y'all suck.
I would have been an E3 if they would have done the paperwork right out of basic.
If I would have known that you could, get up to petty officer really quick, E4, by going into Boy Scouts and finishing, I would have done that because automatically it makes you E3 up to an E4. And I know in the Navy, I knew a guy who was in it. But I went in. My ASVAB was the reason I went in as a E1. They didn't even give me $1 to go in. They were trying to pay me nothing. My ASVAB score was bad. I'm serious, man.
Now,
I shall show it to y'all because it's on your
Oh yeah,
DD214.
that's on
yeah,
there.
Yeah,
yeah.
a 28.
My
I
last
made
my
a
last two
28. I
enlistments.
can't believe I'm admitting this.
My last two enlistments when I was flying, I got pretty good bonuses. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, that must be nice. Yeah, get done and then you
So,
keep going. And most mates never got any of that crap. You know, and what's funny though is I don't know about y'all's. I know we're getting off subject, but this is a kind of fun topic right now because could y'all cross rate?
I don't even know what
As
that means.
That means go to something else.
Not
to
unless
different
job.
jobs, you go out of your MOS into another
Yeah.
MOS. Is
See, most mates
basically what
could.
that means.
when I tried to do that, that got me the short straw from my sergeant major because I asked him too many times, and that's what got me over to
Yeah.
249th Engineers because I think I pissed him off for asking for exactly that.
That's why Wade's a ranger.
Well,
When I came,
you can always reclass when you comes up
Yeah.
for enlistment, reclass and get a new job.
Oh, okay.
Or unless you're in a shortage MOS, in a shortage base like IE Airborne, and they don't want to let you go, you're kind of SOL.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened with us. I came in a guaranteed job as a firefighter because I was actually a New York City, or I was trying out for the New York City Fire Company back in '87, and I passed everything. And once again, it was that drive, and my grandfather and my father. My father was never in the military. My grandfather, as you can see behind me, he was World War II. And he pushed me to, what are you going to do? You don't want to go to college. You don't want to do this. Why don't you join the military? So I did, and it was and is still the best thing that's ever happened to me. But
But
when I came in and they told me you can't do firefighting now, and I'm like, why? They were switching the career field to civilians because they wanted the Air Force guys, the military guys, to do other jobs. They were pushing them towards jobs that needed to be filled. So I said, okay. And I put in for all these jobs. I qualified for everything except for like squadron orderly room and stuff like that. I didn't qualify for any of those jobs. And I put in for boom operator. I put in for dog handler, and they made me a cook.
hey, there ain't nothing wrong with being a cook.
No, it's the way he phrased it that was
Yeah,
funny.
he did. Yeah.
Well,
Went from dog hunter to a
I'm
cook.
not. I was never a cook. I was not. I didn't. It I learned a lot there. I learned a lot about the military, and I can't say that it was a bad thing for me at all. I can cook now. My wife's pretty happy with me, so I'm pretty handy at barbecues when people get sick or something. I'm always there. But I learned a lot. There was a lot of good mentoring in my early part of my career. That was the latter part that I didn't get very good mentoring, but it was do better, be better, show what you are now here, because later on somebody's going to look and go, that's not the guy I want, or is that the guy I want?
Right,
Well,
And
right.
it helped.
that I mean, for us, it was our developmental years. I mean,
Yeah.
in our whether your teens or your 20s, I mean, the military played a huge part in our lives. And if you're in the military even for 4 years or more, I mean, when you transition out of the military, at least for me, that can be very challenging. I mean, that's down. I know that's kind of down the road in conversation here, but I mean, yeah, developmental years. I have no regrets about it. I
Well,
mean,
the thing is how many people sat you down and said, hey, when you get out, what do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want from us? What can we do for you? Nobody ever did that for anybody.
no,
No,
no.
right.
And
Right.
and we went off a little bit, but I'll get back to what we're talking about now. But the cross training and stuff, I didn't want to be a cook anymore. I did missiles in North Dakota. I did. It was Strategic Air Command at the time. I was a missile cook. Then I was a cook out at the alert facility where the bombers were already had their bombs on them, ready to go. The B-1s were ready to go with KC-135s. And I was like, I've had enough of this. and I cross-trained. I tried out for one job and didn't make it. It was basically one step below a PJ. They're a combat weather guys, combat controllers, weather. Yeah,
Okay.
and I didn't make it for the swim. I'm not a strong swimmer, and that's why I didn't join the Navy. But I had a couple of guys tell me, your score is good enough. Why don't you become a load master? And it was so hard to get into. So I opted to go special duty, and I went special duty. Basically, I was a drill sergeant at tech schools. They call them military training leaders. So I did that for 4 years. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I was at Shepherd Air Force Base in Texas, which is right up there, Wichita Falls. And did that for 4 years. And while I was there, the squadron that I was working with, they were the trainers for the loadmasters. So I got all the loadmasters together, did all my paperwork, and got in. And I became a C5 loadmaster from there.
Oh, that's badass.
So I've cross-trained a couple times.
Okay, see, I've always wondered that if it was hard for y'all. But
the Air Force is a little easier.
Oh, yeah. Well, Navy is too, as long as you're a bosun mate and you do good on the ASFAB. But anyway, we're going to, Wade, stop laughing. but I want to jump back into Desert Storm because I don't know about y'all, but I will say Desert Storm helped me grow to be who I am today. It really has. And I wouldn't trade it for the world, my time in the military, because I loved it and everything. But we had to grow up fast. We were, I sit back and think, man, there's some stupid people that trusted me with some stuff. I mean, seriously, you sit back and think about the stuff that you were trusted with.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, but you were trained in that
well,
stuff.
right. But still, you got to have trust that I trained myself. That I was trained well enough to do my job, just like y'all, just like, Wade being trained enough to jump out of a stupid airplane. That's perfectly great.
Yeah, that's stupid. That's a dumb idea.
Yeah, dumb idea.
I was asked to go once, and I said, no, you guys can go out my plane all you want.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, I tell you what, jumping out of an airplane, it's a great thought until you see the ground. And you're just going down going,
I don't even think that. I think once the wind hits you a little bit, that makes you think.
I'm kudos to anybody that was their cup of tea. Not something I had any interest in, but kudos, because I imagine most of the people that do that or have done that, their knees and or backs are not the best. Y'all got what's the pack load when you're jumping out, Wade? How much are you carrying?
You're over 100 pounds,
And you know what? I'll make a deal with Wade. Wade, I'll make a deal with you. I'll make a deal with everybody listening. I'm deathly scared of heights. But if we could hit 10,000 people on YouTube, when we hit, I will go with Wade and jump out of an airplane.
No, wait a minute. Nobody ever said I'm jumping out.
No. Come on, Wade.
You said you're deadly scared of. I won't get on a 5-foot ladder.
What are you talking about? You jumped out of a perfectly good
right, and I'm not afraid to say that every single jump I had was a night jump because I closed my damn eyes every time. But
I've got 3,000 plus hours in the C5, and I'm definitely afraid of heights. No, I'm a volunteer fireman. I go up in a ladder, and I'm definitely afraid of heights.
But I think that's a great suggestion, Kevin. I think you ought to go with Wade. And you guys, what you ought to do is just jump. I tell you what, if you don't want to jump out on your own, what do they call it? Tandem?
Do a tandem.
Do tandem.
Right.
Do tandem. There you go. Tandem.
If Wade doesn't want to do it.
No, I'll go tandem, but not with you. I'll go with a real
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So if we hit 10,000 people on YouTube.
We'll jump at 10,000 feet.
We'll jump at whatever feet they tell us to jump. 10,000 sounds like a way up there, buddy.
Hey, Wade, that's a lot higher than you jumped, Kevin. Isn't it?
all about the experience, brother.
Oh, all right. So I made the pack. If we hit 10,000 people on YouTube, I will go with Wade. We will have other people jump with us, to help us. I'll do it. I'll do it. And we'll videotape it. Oh my God, I just said that. We'll videotape it all the way to the ground. I'm going to pee myself, but hey, I'll do it.
I'll watch.
Yeah, I'll sit down on the airfield and watch y'all. That would 10,000 feet. How high did you jump out, Wade? What was the typical?
800 feet.
800. Oh, okay.
And you went to 10,000? What the hell's wrong with you?
That's free fall, man. It's a big difference.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
you go.
it
So
is.
you already committed, Kevin. It's too late now, there, Chief.
You got 30 seconds from the time you exit that aircraft to the time you hit the ground. 30 seconds.
10,000 feet, you're going to have a lot of time to think about it.
Yeah,
God,
you
oh my
better,
A mistake
you
made.
you better just catheter up there, Kev. Just talk to Wade. You just get a
All right,
catheter
I'll
because you're
do it.
gonna.
I'll do it, Wade. I'll do it, Wade. I'm with Wade. I'll do it. However high Wade wants to go up and do this, we will do it.
That's just what they do it at. That's just what they do at tandem at.
Yeah.
I can't believe I just put myself in that position.
I was going to say, I know we dropped them between 800 to 1,200 AGL. So
Yeah. Jump school is 1,200 feet, and then once you
Yep.
get to division, it's 800. Combat's 400. No reserve. You don't need it.
no.
And the beautiful thing is this: he volunteered himself.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so stupid. I can't believe it.
I'm so glad this is being recorded. This is awesome.
Hey, shut up, John. All right, let's get back. Let's get back into it, man. So, okay, so after you left Desert Storm, and because you made a career out of the military, correct?
Yes. 21 years.
Wow.
21 years. I'm going to congratulate you. I'm going to tell you, anybody that can make it past 20 years, I'm going to congratulate, because it's an honor. I thank you for it. And I wish I would have done it. I know most people that after 20 years passes go, wish I would have stayed in the military. But I thank you for it. I think it's an honor to do 20 years as an honor.
I wish I would have made E7 though. I made E7. I wish I would have put it on. Unfortunately, I had some officers in my ranks that pushed my buttons enough to make me just bail out.
No, man, that sucks. Yeah, that really
Like
sucks.
I said, early in my career, I really had a lot of people mentoring me and pushing me to go further and be more. I had some bumps in the road. I lost a stripe. I gained a stripe back, but I didn't have enough of them to push me in the latter parts. Only one person pushed me, and that was the only reason I got my degrees before I got out. And I wish I would have done a lot of things earlier in my career, because it would have made me a little bit more open to things.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. And then, so
I tell these kids, I have a niece that she's thinking about joining the military now, and she's 14 years old. She doesn't, she's got a while to think about it. But I told her, I said,
my goodness, yeah.
And she looks up to Uncle Bob, which is a good thing, and I'm very appreciative of it. But I tell them, any of them, think about what the Army, Air Force, Marines, Navy, what they're going to take from you. They're going to take everything they can from you. What are you going to gain from it? What can you gain from it when you get out? Don't look here. Look here. Look out. Past the 5 years that you're in, or 10 years, or even 3 years, whatever it may be. What can you get from them so when you get out, you're stable?
Yeah.
No, that's I like that. And now I think they also offer like college while you're in a whole lot more. They push it. They push these kids now to go to college while they're in. And then you got state programs that, after you get out, man, it helps you and your kids depending on what state you live in. And
I was actually doing my thesis on my way to Afghanistan.
Wow.
Really?
Okay.
I was doing my bachelor's degree while back and forth to Afghanistan and Iraq.
Right. Wow. That son of a gun.
Yeah. But we got
I
a
was
lot of
still trying
time in the
figure out
plane to
what a
just sit.
thesis was back then. I was still trying to figure out what a thesis was back then.
So Bob, you were on a C5A Galaxy. Is that correct terminology?
I flew on the A's and B's, and now they got the M's here. But no, I haven't. I flew on A's and B's.
So humor us that don't know what's the difference between A's and B's.
Well, it's an electronics package, radios, your dials and indicators. There's actually different hydraulic systems in the cargo compartment. That's pretty much what it is. Because they used to go from an electronic, or they had a hydraulic winch to pull things in. Then we went to electronic, and just little things like that. Now the new M, forget it. It's a glass cockpit. They've got 747 engines hung on it now. It doesn't even say. Everybody remembers when a C5 comes, that whine.
Oh yeah,
You don't hear that anymore. You hear a 747 coming.
Huh.
And
Okay.
but
And I live right in the flight path of the C5s going into Dover, so it's great. I miss it, but I sit out on my porch and just watch them.
But also, you talked about you worked setting up morgues and stuff like that.
Yes.
I tell you what, that had to be a tough job.
It makes you think. It makes you think about the mortality and such like that. But we were so prepared for the losses that the people back here in DC were thinking we were going to get. All those number punchers, they were sitting there, and we had a GP medium filled to the top with those metal caskets to bring everybody home.
Oh,
Filled.
wow.
Filled, just waiting for the bodies. And it never happened, thankfully.
And that's where I want the younger generation to know, where Schwarzkopf and Powell and all, the people of the think tanks, that's what we'll call them, the think tanks.
Yeah.
They actually did it right. They actually swarmed in, and it was overpowering that them guys were like, hey, I'm done. I'm going to give up. Give me some.
Well, yeah, that can be argued to a point, because even back at Bragg, they had a section of Bragg that was cordoned off the hospital, the Womack, that they were ready to receive, countless bodies. Yeah. So, and we were referred to the 82nd speed bump is what, they were looking at, the Republican Guard just rolling right over us.
Yeah.
And so.
Really? That's what they were thinking?
Huh. Oh, yeah. They were talking horrendous casualties. So did they do it right, or did their plan just go better than what they anticipated? Because they were planning for all these casualties that they didn't have.
That's when
I've talked to their ass beat for 30 days between the Navy and the Air Force. They just got their ass pounded.
Yeah. When I talked to General Horner, General Horner, he was the air boss over there during the Desert Storm. I talked to him probably every couple months. And when I went to one of the Desert Storm War Memorial banquets that we had, me and him sat down, and I asked him several questions about those things. And he said that the numbers that they had were all this and that. He said, but we learned our lesson in Vietnam. All our leaders were Vietnam lieutenants and captains. Now they're generals and colonels and up. They knew right away to not let the people back in D.C., all the politicians, run them. They said, this is how we're going to do it. This is how it's going to be done. The only thing that I heard that they did was, once they reached a certain point, they did tell Schwarzkopf and the rest of them, that's it. You're not going any further. Right. And if we would have done that, a lot of things could have been changed if we would have went further.
And that's true, but the UAE had a lot to do with that too. The UAE and the European, all them guys were like, look, we did our job. We got them out of Kuwait. We want them. It's done. And that's what it should have been done. Just leave it alone. Don't go in. Done. It's done. We're not there to occupy. We shouldn't be there to occupy. And then after 9/11 happened, and then you had Iraqi freedom, you had Afghanistan going on. And believe it or not, we could have had a lot more casualties out of that war too, but it wasn't as bad as it, like World War II. Look
Yeah.
at the casualty loss that we had there. And, and I believe each generation is different. The greatest generation is, I don't know if y'all walk into a VA, do they have big signs up saying the greatest generation? The pictures of everybody, our VA does.
I've
And
never seen anything like that, but I've seen it in other places though, where they have the greatest generation. They'll have World War II pictures and
right.
such.
And I
A little
understand.
bit.
Now I understand after being in the military and understanding why they
Yep.
were the greatest generation. They have so much love for this country. And that's where we need to get back to. We need to have love for this country, love for one another, and just the kindness is just gone. And people,
Yeah.
we need to get back to it. And that's what's sad. Our military needs to be strength. They need to know that you mess with us, we're going to come right back and kick your
Well,
ass.
I don't, and I won't dwell on this, but clearly the people, the younger generation, don't understand. Based on what we see going on in California, they have no clue.
Right.
So
And I agree. And I mean,
And you will have to say that, I mean, the political waves, that plays a part too. When you look at the Army has already exceeded their political recruitment by 4 months. I mean, that says a lot. When they haven't reached their recruiting goals in the last 4 years, and then now they've reached it 4 months early for their fiscal year, that says a lot. I mean, there's a lot of young people raising their hands.
yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of people out there seeing there's a lot of opportunity for them.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Bob.
I'd like to see where they have maybe a demographics of where these people are recruiting. Where are the bigger numbers, and how can they reach these people a little bit better to recruit them? And then again, what are they getting when they get in? And not the recruits, but what's the service getting?
no, right.
Some of these kids are just, they want instant gratification. I see it. I do recruitment with the fire company here, and they automatically want to get on a fire truck and put the wet stuff on the red stuff. They don't care about training. They just want to get in there and start, finding bodies in a burning building. They don't think about what it takes to get to that point.
But at least they're gung ho enough to want to do that.
Yes.
And that's where we need to get back to. We need to get back to where these people want to be in the military. They want to serve their country. They don't want to, be honest with you though. A lot of people that I knew went into the military kind of had, were told to by a judge. A lot of waivers were put in. But you end up growing up, feeling better about yourself, and know there's a better life out there for you after the military. It trains you.
It was the best thing I did in my life. I had nothing going for me where I lived. And you would think Long Island, New York City, I would have a lot. The only thing I had going for me was being a firefighter in New York City, which I'm thankful I wasn't now. And I hate to say that for the brothers that did perish in 9/11, but I'm happy I wasn't there with them.
Right. And I understand that. I completely understand it. And I guess I kind of look back, and I'm really glad that you made that comment, Bob. That is the best thing you ever did. I'm gonna let my wife hear that comment because I accidentally said the best 4 years of my life was when I was in the military. I still don't live that down. I'm gonna tell you right now.
My wife just walked out. She didn't hear me say that, so don't.
This is recorded. But no, but I mean, it's the people you work with, the people you work with. You trust one another. And speaking of that, before we get off to going after show, next week's show is actually going to be a fun show. I have a Navy reunion. And Thursday night, we're going to go live, and I'm going to have my shipmates there. Y'all be able to ask them anything you want. You can ask them about me, about themselves. I'm really scared about that with Wade and John. But I mean, be honest with you, y'all will hear things that you will never hear out of sailors' mouths until you get with my group of friends.
Oh, we've heard sailors talk.
Oh no, you have just wait. Just wait, Wade. You have no idea. And I'm
I've
talking
been to
about a group.
Mayport.
But what's really cool is that, and then the next following week, 2 weeks from today, I want everybody to tune in because statistics that have come out that have been floating around about Desert Storm's vets' health, and that we're going to come back and we're going to argue them. I'm going to say it now, Wade and John. Now it's time for us to stop with the fear mongering, and that's what we're going to work on the next couple of weeks. And we're going to really get into, hey, how can we better a vet's life instead of stressing it out? And Bob, I thank you for coming on tonight, man.
Oh, thank you.
I really enjoyed having you on, and I love your accent. You know, Wade and John don't have one. I don't have one. I love your accent.
It's kind of the New York Delaware accent. It's a mix. You get me
Did you
mad on
just
the road
say-
and I start talking like this.
Did you just say you don't have an accent there,
I
Kev?
don't know
Did
what
you
you're
really
talking
just say?
about. I don't have no accent.
Yeah, I don't have no accent, y'all. I don't.
You don't even do it right. My goodness, don't
I-
try that ever again, John.
I am very thankful for my friendships that I made in the military, and I'm still making them. And I just made 3 more, which is even greater. I have one buddy that me and him have been working together with the Desert Storm War Memorial since 2015. And just to let y'all know, they have broke ground at 23rd and Constitution in D.C. for a memorial for Desert Storm and the veterans.
Oh, that is
Awesome.
correct. I forgot
That's
about
awesome.
that, Bob.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up.
And my buddy, me and him are gonna we got something special coming up here soon, and we'll put it out when it's done. But I'm gonna go visit the site soon and start taking pictures. So if you want to friend me or look for my stuff on Instagram or something, I'll set some pictures out once I get there. But we want more and more veterans to know about it, and we want more and more veterans, especially Desert Storm, Desert Shield veterans, to come out and see it being built.
Now, is that memorial? Because I was there, I don't know, last year, and nothing was going on. Is that memorial going to be dedicated solely for Desert Storm, Desert Shield?
Yes.
It is.
It is Desert Shield, Desert Storm only. There is property next to it that's going to be for Iraq and Afghanistan. They were going to try to mix us in with it, but Thank God for President Trump saying no.
Oh, good. Good. Okay, so I have this question for you. When it's done, when it's getting to final stages and you're taking all the pictures, you're getting that stuff going, when it's done, would you come back on here and put the pictures up? Let's start showing people.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We'll talk strictly about the memorial site. Would
Not
you
a
be willing
problem.
to do that?
I am more than willing to do that.
What do they say the dedication date is anticipated now?
Next year is all we're getting right at this moment. They don't want to make any They don't want to make any promises because things, COVID really put a screw to it, and they don't want to put anything out there right now stating this date at this time, because God only knows if it goes further or something else happens. Basically, all the big parts of it are coming together and being finished as they're getting the land ready for it.
And if I'm not John that posted this, that tell them to put all names of Desert Shield, Desert Storm fallen to that. I think they are. I believe they are.
No, that was one of the original plans of it, and a lot of the veterans that were integral in it, myself and several others, state representatives and such, and the problem, one of the big problems was, where do we start and where do we end the names? because you have
Oh.
pre-Desert Shield, then you have Desert Storm, the people who died during Desert Storm, and then you have the ones after it and the other part of it. So the names things, that was one of the issues with it. And the commission that runs all the memorials there in DC, there were so many committees and commissions that they had to go through to get permission to build this. It's mind blowing and staggering. But every time they went to another commission, we don't like this aspect, change it to this, take the names out, do this, do that. They're trying
See,
to
that's much
make
crap.
they're trying to make the Vietnam Wall its own thing with the names. Because in Korea and World War II and World War I, you don't have names. So they're trying to do, the wall is its own entity. They want it to be its own entity. And I can understand that. I don't 100% agree, but I can understand and I can still appreciate that this is going to be built and it's going to honor what we did.
Yeah.
As
And
many people don't think it's worth it because our war only lasted so many days and what have you. Well, it lasted those many days because of those guys on that wall. Because of the lessons we learned from them and the ones before us. If we didn't learn those lessons, we might still be fighting a war.
No, and that's true. That's
So,
that's a great point. I understand that. I wish it would have every name of anybody who served during it, but I know committees, the politicians,
yeah.
and hopefully one day they'll decide to do that, because you'll have different committees as time goes on, and they may say, no, we want everybody. Hopefully. You just don't know.
I would urge everybody in every state. I've seen highways dedicated to Desert Storm, but I've seen dedications and the names of each state, the dead that they had from each state, and I think it's worth it. We did something that was, like Wade was saying, they were thinking thousands and thousands of people. They weren't thinking hundreds. They were thinking thousands of our guys. Percentage wise, over 50% were going to die.
There's a reason we had 700,000 there.
Yeah.
This wasn't going to be a walk in the park. This wasn't another Panama or Grenada. This was, they
were expecting a whole lot worse.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Well, man, we're getting to the end of the show. I want to thank everybody for coming on. Bob, thank you so much. Pleasure.
More than welcome. Thank you guys for having me.
And you're going to come back on when the memorial is done and you take plenty of pictures. We're going to walk through it and talk about it because I'm interested. Wade, as always, thank you. John, as always, thank you. And I want to thank everybody for listening. And so I want to tell everybody, look, y'all go over to our Patreon, listen to the after show shows. It's going to help. We're trying to get more people added on to the podcast. I can't do it by myself. I need everybody's help to spread the word out there. And also, if anybody wants to contact me, I say it every time, I know, but you can always contact me at Kevin Simon at GoForceSideEffects.com. Again, Kevin Simon at GoForceSideEffects.com. Thanks for the emails I've been getting. I know I've been getting some controversial ones about some of the topics we're going to be coming up with, but which is fine because that's what it's about. We're not all going to agree to agree. We're going to disagree. So, it's fine. And so next week, like I said, we got the Navy boys coming on, the USS San Jose. And girls, I better say that because they're going to whoop my ass if they hear this. And then also, then the following week, we're going to bring statistics back. And we're going to bring some real ones back. And we're going to make everybody understand it's not as bad as y'all think it is. And what's been being put out there. So, doom and gloom, I'm done with it. I want happier stuff. The more happier you are, the better health you are, the longer life you're going to live. So I want everybody to have a good night. Thanks for listening. And, y'all have a great night. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.